Okay, try again. So we are spiritual beings, spiritual, natural human beings, born into an artificial technological matrix system. And the dog just gave his indication of what he thinks of my comment. And I will get to that. And our thinking in this artificial technological matrix, if you are a real natural human being, creates the frequency, vibration, and thought that creates in the artificial technical matrix. The artificial technical matrix infiltrates and tries to influence and control your thinking and your thoughts, but mainly your feeling and emotion, which is the frequency, vibration that creates the energy that is the matrix. Did that make any sense? It kind of did, and it kind of didn't. But either way, the human being is the frequency vibration source, because that's what a human being gives out. With their emotion and their feelings is the frequency and vibration of the matrix. If you want to put it simply, of course, I do not understand how this works, and it's a great big mystery and it's a big fairy tale, but that's putting it simply if you want to go with that fable or that fairy tale. Now, I was going to make a video back to the movies that I made a list 6 months ago, as you probably know if you have listened 6 months ago, and I only made a video on 1 or 2 movies. Now, I put the list down on the floor last night, and when I woke up, the entire list was destroyed. The dog had peed on the list of the video movies that I was going to pick 1 or 2 out, and it was washed out and destroyed before my very eyes when I got up. Now, you would say that is random bad luck, and it was silly of you to put it on the floor. Well, yes, the floor, there's a fair bit of space. The dog could have peed anywhere on the floor, but he peed today on that 1 little square foot of the entire floor to wash out the video list. You would say incredible coincidence, bad luck, random incident. No, I say it is not, because it happens all the time. If something happens all the time, it is not random. But to the naked eye and to the average person, if I said that, I would seem foolish to say that it was directly done by the matrix and the matrix God entity and this world we live in, which is a matrix system, mind controlled entity type world. Now, that did not make sense either, but you have to listen to the other videos, because I'm getting impatient because I think I'm going to run out of space, which I will. Now, this is what I'm saying, is that to the average person that does not seem logical. It does not seem realistic to say that. And only, 1 in 30 million or something will actually go along with this fantasy. They will say, no, it's a random occurrence. But of course, I say the dog is controlled by the matrix. The dog is what you could call possessed. But either way, whether it is possessed spiritually or technically is irrelevant, because I do not understand how the matrix works. I just see the results of the matrix. So I know it is valid. I know the matrix operates in my life. I know the matrix is around me, all around me, like it said in the movie. It's all around you, it's everywhere. It controls and manipulates and infiltrates everything. Depending on your frequency too, I would imagine, but I'm just throwing that in because I don't think that that is totally the case either. I think that it has an effect. I think that, personally think, but I don't know this, that if I could raise my frequency, but of course the matrix is all around, so the matrix controls your frequency. Because if the matrix makes you angry, if the matrix makes you fall over on the floor and slip, you're not going to get up and say or sit there and say, this is great. I'm high frequency. I enjoyed hurting my leg falling on the floor. No, it is a normal human reaction. And then you've given out negative frequency vibration. Because if the matrix puts the water on the floor or the dog pees on the floor and the dog is controlled and operated by the matrix, whether it's through spiritual possession or technical means. But I think in my own, even though I do not know, of course I don't know, I see the results, as I say, but I surmise myself, to me the matrix is technical. The matrix God uses technology. The matrix God entity is technology to some extent, I surmise. So therefore, what is spiritual and what is technical are really combined in this reality. Human beings are not meant to be combined with technology. We also are now totally immersed in a technological world. We ourselves operate technology. We're influenced by it, where our frequency is controlled by it, because frequency can be controlled by technology. I would think, of course it can, because technology can create a frequency. A human being is frequency. A human being can create frequency, and I don't know what I'm talking about, because I'm trying too hard to impress and make the video good, and basically I'm not getting it. But either way, there's a simple example of the matrix performing an apparently innocent random act, like the dog peeing on a piece of paper on the floor destroys the movie list. It's not that important, I can make it again, but it is still all effort and time and annoyance, if you know what I mean. Now, and it's just the matrix showing its power too, because the matrix does it plays with the human being. The human being plays in the matrix. As you can see, you don't have any influence over the game, or very little, if the matrix is very full on. And that may, as I've said before, depend on the frequency, but I'm going off and getting low frequency and stress. Now look, I just mentioned that example because most would say you're being ridiculous saying that, and I would have agreed with that a few years ago. I would have said, look, okay, it's a coincidence, it's bad luck, I'd have just said. It's just bad luck. You put the paper on the floor, the dog pees on it, But you're saying that it is an Earth matrix-controlled event, that the God entity actually goes to that much bother to get the dog, which is really his dog, not your dog in a way, because the dog operates, its mind is of the matrix, it's controlled by the matrix. How this really works. You can see it from a spiritual level, you could see it from a technical level. I don't understand it, but I do believe in both. And both are operating, and they shouldn't be. Humans are operating in a technical domain, so their spiritual capacity, and therefore everything that is about them, everything that is physical about them, is at the lowest possible level. Human beings are natural technical beings, if you look at it that way. Everything in their body operates like a machine, but it is a natural machine. And it is the best machine that ever is and can ever be. But in this matrix, it is the lowest form of life, because we live in a reverse world matrix that has now completely reversed itself. I don't know what it was like in the past, but I would imagine that it hasn't always been 100% complete reverse world. It could have been, because there again, you're in the dark. So if you don't know you're in a matrix, you wouldn't know how many people are possessed. You wouldn't know what is taken over. You don't even know when you're taken over yourself until you become aware that you're in a matrix. You just think you've got a bad personality, you're angry. And in fact, this is the danger of the matrix. And I'm sorry I've lost the thing here again, but this is the danger of the matrix, I would think, is that some real human beings are possessed and taken over by the matrix. And I emphasise the some real human beings, because if you're not a real human being, it's irrelevant. If you are of the matrix, if you are born into the matrix world, and the matrix world chooses its disciples from the minute you come into the world, the matrix gives its disciples, its chosen ones. Real human beings are not the matrix chosen ones. Real human beings are from outside the matrix, if you want to look at it that way. In my fairy tale, they have to be outside of the matrix, and they're certainly not meant to be in the matrix. I know I'm not meant to be in a matrix. So therefore, I have to say I should be outside of a matrix. That makes sense to me, even though I do not understand the matrix and how it works. Of course not. But either way, the chosen ones of the matrix, that are chosen by the matrix to be its disciples, its spokespeople, its, I'm trying to use the words, its advocates, its representatives. Anyone that is anyone in the world is a representation of the matrix God entity. They're chosen from the day they're born. And these disciples are given the God's identity. They are given the matrix God's identity. They feel important from quite young. They know they are chosen by the matrix God, and they worship and reciprocate the matrix God, if you like to look at it that way, or its reality, because their reality is different to mine. I'm not making sense here. I'm not making this very good. But they're given an identity. They know from when they're born that they're a certain type of